people think by going to HBCU, going to school, get a degree at HBCU, that you can't get a job.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Or you're not able to get the really good jobs and
Right.
compete with, those that are going to, predominantly white institutions and things like that. Right.
Right. Right.
And it was a falsehood, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about you and it's about your university and how they prepare you and things like that.
Right.
Right. Some of the best minds out there have come from HBCUs, and I don't know why we're still having this conversation around it, but it still tends to be out there when parents are advising their kids on where to go to college.
Say that. Say that.
Try to shy them from HBCUs,
Say that.
and when I was on my internship and when I went back full time, I'm going to school with working with people who went to University of Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, University of Houston. I'm not inferior to them.
Right.
At a minimum, we're on the same level, but I think I'm above you, right? I at no moment did I feel inferior. Ever. Right. I can compete with you guys and excel beyond you guys just like anybody else. And so I never had that perception like, ooh, I went to Jackson State, so I can't, they're better than me. No.
All right, y'all. Today's guest is Will C. Pugh Jr. Will is a proud Jackson State University graduate with a BBA in accounting, and he's a certified public accountant. He's also the president and director of Mentoring Brother to Brother, also known as MB2B, where he stepped into the president role in 2018 after spending 9 years mentoring in the program. Will's roots run deep. He's a native of Marks, Mississippi, and he's been working with youth for over 20 years, helping young men level up through things like academic bowl competitions, reading programs, and college and career readiness. On the professional side, Will brings 20 plus years in the accounting field with strengths that include financial reporting, audit focused work, areas like US, and correct me, just I'm sure I might pronounce something wrong. Just jump in. USGAAP. Is that gap? Do y'all say gap?
Yep.
Okay, US gap, IFRS, SEC filings, and PCAOB, whatever the hell that is, requirements. So today we're getting into Will's story, his upbringing, his HBCU journey, and how he's using his leadership to help build the next generation. Will, welcome to the show. I hope you like that intro. I told you I was going to surprise you. For everybody who's seeing us right now, this is Will's first time hearing that bio. How do you feel about that, brother?
That was pretty good.
Okay.
Fortunate for you that accountants have 1 billion acronyms, so.
Bruh.
We do it on purpose.
Thank you so much for listening to that bio. I hope I didn't butcher it too much. Do you have any edits or anything you want to add before we get started to the questions?
No, that's perfect. That was perfect. It covered everything.
Okay, fantastic. All right, let's get straight into it. All right, first question. Tell us about your HBCU story and what led to you attending the particular HBCU that you attended.
Oh, awesome. Good question. So I attended Jackson State, of course. It is an interesting story because I didn't think I would. So
You're not wrong.
So I thought I would attend Ole Miss or Mississippi State. So I ended up doing a couple things happened, right? So my senior year of high school, I spent most of my time of any college I spent on Ole Miss's campus, more time than any other.
Okay.
College, right? And so, but my senior year, we were on campus and they had some stuff going on related to, I don't know if you remember, when the Colonel Reb was being debated of whether or not that should be the mascot.
Yes.
Had some folks coming to campus while we were there. That was, of course, a proponent of Colonel Reb. And it's like, yeah, this is probably not the place for me, right?
Right.
Tour at Jackson State. Dr. Lackey took us, I'm from Marks, Mississippi. Dr. Lackey is from Marks. So he took several of us down to tour Jackson State. I said, okay, I think I can make this work, right? I enjoyed the campus, enjoyed the tour, and ended up like coming back in the fall to start my freshman year. So it was a little bit of a fluke because I didn't. If my man December my senior year, I would have told you no. Jackson State wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah. Quick sidebar for the folks who are listening. He mentioned Dr. Lackey, and I think you pronounce his first name Hilliard. Hilliard, Dr. Hilliard. He's a legendary history professor at Jackson State University. So I just wanted to add that caveat. And hey, folks, internets, my 4U crew, do your Googles. Hey, I just gave you a name. And you do your Googles, do your research. He's legendary. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, what was your upbringing like, and who or what most shaped your mindset for college, or your? Let's just start with college for
now. From a college perspective, I guess my like I said, I was from Marks. I tell anybody, I grew up dirt poor, right? We grew up poor, right?
Yeah.
Right. It was anybody been to Marks will tell you the same. And kind of what shaped me, I guess, in general, like the college aspect of, I guess, is maybe a little bit different for me because like growing up in that way, like you didn't have a lot of influences on going to college, right? I think my mom might have had a first cousin who went to Valley some years, probably maybe before I was even born. But that was, that was pretty much it. Most of your influence from a college perspective came from your teachers, right?
Gotcha.
Like I told you, I spent a lot of time on Ole Miss's campus and some of the other campuses around the state. And one teacher was, I will say, is responsible for that aspect of it, and that was Mr. Pryor.
Okay.
He taught biology and anatomy and a couple other classes that we had. So we were always on different campuses for competitions and seminars and things like that. So I got that exposure to college from that perspective. But I will say that if you go back to the point of preparing me for college, I think it's my family, right?
Okay.
So the one thing I knew about my family is like I learned work ethic, and I learned about like you need to help people. That's one thing out of it. In particular, I grew up around my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
And whether it's my house or I'm at my what we call the family house where my grandmother and grandfather, and great aunts and stuff lived, like every morning, if you were there in the mornings, like people was getting up, going to work, right? So everybody was working, everybody was hustling. And so that's just something you thought you had to do, right? And then, like I said, the other aspect of it is like they were so generous. They probably some of the most generous people you ever meet. But that helped me in college, right? Because like you had to hustle, right?
Right.
It didn't matter where you go. I know there's some, people have different perceptions of HBCUs, but you got to hustle when you get there. People are going to help you. You got to hustle. And if you don't hustle, you're going to be at home. And I didn't want to go home.
Facts.
And I think that's something I learned from my family is like that hustle, that work ethic. And that helped me a lot in college because I was just on the grind. I was like, I didn't care. It's like, I'm going to make this thing happen.
Okay, cool. So just a quick pause. I'm going to aid you right now. I'm going to give you a heads up. So what period of time were you at Jackson State? What are the years? Because it's critical for what I'm about to say.
Drew, I can age me, so if my mentee's gonna hold this video, I'm gonna have to murder them. I was lying about my age. But so this year will be my 25th year graduating from Jackson State. So I graduated on May 12th of 2001. So I started at Jackson State in the fall of 1997. It was there until May of 2000. Ooh. So that, that's
okay, folks. I wanted. This is what I want to add. He was in school for the 99 and the 2000. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, that's all I wanted to add.
Look, the world was supposed to end then.
And the cash money era was in full effect. Woo!
Full effect.
Yes.
Oh man, that's yeah.
And I'll add another little caveat. Will, if you hadn't picked that up already, Will and I were in school together. I was in school way later than him, but I I caught him on the tail. No, I started in the fall of '98, and I finished in spring of '02. So
all he's trying to say is younger than me. That's all he's trying to say.
Oh man! All right, thank you for that. So you mentioned your mother's side of the family was instrumental. Was there a particular couple of family members you want to expound upon that a little bit?
Oh man, it's hard to expound because there is a lot, right?
Yeah.
And in particular, my grandmother and my great aunts,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Those ladies, like, they hustle, right? And had lots of wisdom, and like, you have to love them, right? And my all came from my great grandmother, right? My great grandmother was the matriarch of the family, that's out of the family, and she was a hustler, like this lady made moonshine, so moonshine, right? They grew their own vegetables and animals and sold them. They were sharecroppers, right? So, they didn't make a lot of money, so they had to figure out ways to bring additional money into the household so they can survive.
Right.
And I think that blood runs through that entire side of the family, right?
Yeah.
Hey, like, you got to make it happen, and that's what she was all about. Like, I remember her as a kid, and she was about hustling. You get out there and you make it happen. No making no excuses for anything. Just do it.
For sure. Fantastic. Thank you for expounding upon that. All right. When did you first hear about HBCUs, and what did you believe about them at the time?
So it's interesting. When I first, I guess, came across them, I don't know if I even realized the concept of HBCUs or not, but the first time is when I went to Valley. So, because Valley was closer to us than any other ones, right? And so I remember going there, I think it was a football game. And I just remember at that football game, and my high school had a pretty good band, right? We had a pretty good band called the Pride of the Delta.
Okay.
But Valley had a really good band. So I got there. I was like, man, this is hype, right? This is dope. I like this. And so that was my first foray into it. But like I said before, it wasn't enough to get me to say I wanted to go to HBCUs, because I don't think I was even thinking in that concept of HBCUs.
Right.
I had to be probably a freshman or sophomore when I went to when I visited their campus.
Okay.
And that was the only HBCU campus I visited before visiting Jackson State.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I went to high school in the Delta as well. And I went to Cleveland High and in Cleveland, Mississippi. And there are two schools. I want to take this time to shout out the other high school in Cleveland at the time. They've merged since that time, but I want to give a special shout out to Eastside High, because boy, when I tell you their camaraderie, their pride, Eastside Trojans is just, to this day, I've never seen it. It's next to none. And I don't know if you all play Eastside in sports. Okay. Yeah. They, to this day, what's impressive to me is, to this day, even though the schools merged, they have reunions, class reunions. They have a conglomerate of all the classes. They have a outing every year, and I just think it's impressive. So it's a big shout out. Even though I went to Cleveland High, I'm gonna give it proper respect to Eastside High. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's go back to one of my original questions. So, what led you to your career that you are now? What led you to the location you're at right now? Can you talk a little bit about that? Your migration from graduating college to where you are right now.
So I'm gonna take it even a little bit back further. Okay. Like I said, I'm a CPA. I'm an accountant, and since I was a little kid, right, I had this fascination with money. I can manage money. I can hold on to money. Like, since I was a little kid, so I was just like, I think that's a God-given a gift that I have.
Cool.
But ended up, of course, going to Jackson State, majoring in accounting. We ended up doing an internship while I was there.
Okay.
So I did an internship for Arthur Anderson, which is at the time was one of the big 5 accounting firms. It doesn't exist no more.
Okay.
It fell in the whole Enron scandal back in 2001, 2002. but ended up doing an internship. Loved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And came back, finished my senior year, and of course they made me an offer for full time. So I jetted back to Dallas.
Of course.
Because I enjoyed Dallas, right?
Right.
Enjoyed working at that particular firm. So that's what kind of hooked me back in. And then Dallas has a decent alumni base, and because we had, at the time they did the corporate tours.
Yes, I was hoping you talk about that. Yes, go ahead.
As in the comp sci majors would come out to Dallas, where the alums here would set up interviews and stuff for us with these major corporations, and we got to tour around Dallas and go to all these companies, and so I did that probably twice. So I felt like I was pretty comfortable with Dallas, and then being in accounting, the National Association of Black Accountants had these different student conferences, and one of them was in Dallas one year. So I just felt like I knew Dallas, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So I kept coming back. So I got pretty comfortable with Dallas pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Fantastic. So story time. I don't know if you remember this, but I actually went on one of those corporate business tours with you. Do you remember that a little bit?
I remember which one.
I believe it was probably your senior. When you say 01? You graduated 01?
I graduated 01.
It was your senior year because it was my junior year. So I can't recall like if it was in the spring or in the fall, but yeah. So I can't recall fall of 2000 or spring 2001, but I was definitely on that tour with you, and that was where I caught the bug to come to Dallas, because that was like drew me. I'm giving another big shout out to Ronnie Cavett. He was one of the catalysts. I believe he was the president of the Alumni Association at the Dallas chapter, the JSU Alumni Association for the Dallas chapter. And from what I can see, I don't know what's going on in the background, but what I can see, he did an excellent job with us, navigating that and leading that. And it was an excellent supporting team navigating us through that process. Now, help me out. You remember we went to that, like, it was always like a shopping mall of businesses. Was that called the Atrium?
No, it was Infomart. So
Infomart?
Yeah, it was the Infomart. So if you talk about when we were coming, it was close to downtown off of 35.
Yeah, close by Oakland, the Oakland area. Yeah. Mirrors, yeah.
Infomart.
Okay.
And we would do a lot of interviews there.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. But like I said, we were all over the Metroplex. I mean, they took us.
Yes.
Some of those companies don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But they had us all over the place. So like I said, I hate that they don't do it anymore, because I think it was definitely something beneficial for the students, even if you didn't get a job or anything like that. But just having that exposure in a real environment, interview setting, and coming to a city that's massive, right?
Yeah.
Jackson, and I just hate that they don't do it anymore.
Okay. What was the moment you knew, yep, I'm in the right place at Jackson State?
That's funny. I don't know if there was one, but I will say this, right? I felt comfortable from day one when I got to campus, right? It was a little bit, scary at first, right?
Right.
Trying to, navigate around, the first, couple days during orientation. But you kind of fell into it very quickly because, and this, right? Like even during the day, if everything's a little bit nervous, like everybody's hanging out on the plaza that night.
Yes.
You get to know everybody, and so you got very comfortable very quickly. But I will say is that I knew I was, and this is funny, in my senior year, I knew I was at the right place. There was a moment where I knew I was at the right place, right?
Bruh.
And our confirmation that I was at the right place.
Okay.
And so I was a accounting major, so I'm always in, in our department office and things like that. And I was up there one day, and it was this guy that the kid that the golf team was trying to recruit.
Okay.
Major in accounting. Don't know if he ever came to Jackson State or not, but I know he was there, touring. And so my department chair said, "Hey, I need you to talk to this kid." Right.
Okay.
And because I was in the office, I said, "Okay." I talked to him. I was talking to him and his mom, and I'm just telling them about the program, about Jackson State, all this stuff like this.
Yeah.
And when I was done, she said, "I can really tell you enjoy being here."
Wow.
And so, in that moment, I was like, yeah, that was confirmation that I was.
Wow.
And fast forward some years later, I'm taking some of our mentees on a college tour. It was at a university in Texas. And I remember a professor there saying, he said, the only thing that really matters when you go off to college is that you're at somewhere where you can see yourself belonging. He said,
Right.
if you get that, you will graduate.
Fantastic.
And when I think back, like I had that at Jackson State, right? I was
Fantastic.
extremely comfortable being there, excited to be there. It like you didn't, I wasn't out of place. And that's not for everybody, right? It won't be for everybody.
Right.
For me, I wasn't out of place. I was at home.
Right. Dope.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. If you can think about it, what's one myth about HBCUs that you would like to shut down that you've heard? Go ahead, go for it. This is
I'm trying to keep I did the first one I want to do. The one I would have done when I was in college is not the one I'm gonna do right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is a PG rated show, so
I'll get to it. It may not be applicable today, but
okay.
One I will get to today that may still be out there is people think by going to HBCU, going to school, get a degree at HBCU, that you can't get a job.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Or you're not able to get the really good jobs and compete with, those that are going to, predominantly white institutions and things like that.
Right.
And it was a falsehood, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about you and it's about your university and how they prepare you and things like that. So I was able to get an internship at one of the top 5 accounting firms in the world.
Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
And I also got internship offers from companies like FedEx, ConocoPhillips, right?
Yeah.
Some of these huge, large companies.
Right.
And so that should tell anybody, it's like, it doesn't matter where you go to a certain extent, as long as you excel when you're there, that they're going to prepare you. And I think that's just, I think even now, not particularly in our communities, we look at HBCUs and there's a certain sector of our communities that look down on them. And it's like, they're inferior. They are not. Right. Some of the best minds out there have come from HBCUs. And I don't know why we still having this conversation around it, but it still tends to be out there when parents are advising their kids on where to go to college.
Say that.
Try to shy them from HBCUs and
say that.
And when I was on my internship and when I went back full time, I'm going to school with working with people who went to University of Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, University of Houston. I'm not inferior to them. At a minimum, we're on the same level, but I think I'm above you, right? At no moment did I feel inferior. Ever. Right. I can compete with you guys and excel beyond you guys just like anybody else. And so I never had that perception like, ooh, I went to Jackson State, so I can't, they're better than me. No.
Yeah.
Not at all. My
professor. I want to expound upon that because I feel that is not a natural disposition for some people. So, and that is your confidence that you had. Where do you feel you gained that confidence from, or who, or how? How did you come to that point where you felt like you were not on the same level, if not, or at above and beyond your peers?
Part of it, I think, is inherited. So that probably came from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
My dad he didn't mince words. His family doesn't mince words, right? They got something to say. They're going to say it. They're going to stand on it, right?
Right.
That's where, and believe me, they will.
So, what's the kids say now? Standing on business.
Standing on business, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. They will stand on business then. And I can go in a whole bunch of stories about my great-great-granddad, but of him standing on business. But yeah, I think that's where the foundation was. And so, but I also believe that even if you don't, like I said, part of it I think is genetically me, but even if you don't have it, preparation builds confidence, right? I think Jackson State, in particular, our business program, did a fantastic job in preparing us to go out here to interview, to
Yes.
go out into corporate America. They did a
Yes.
fantastic job in it,
Yes.
right? And it
And
just wasn't
one
a particular class. It was like just everything that they did with us. That when
yes.
we went out, we had our nose up in the air, right?
Yes. 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 And one thing I want to add to that, I was not a business major, and I was a recipient of that coaching and
Mhm.
that culture that the business program created, because before we went on the corporate tours, when they took us, oh, let me add something. Young people, high school students, once you get to college, please sign up for any trip that you could possibly sign up for. It don't matter what it is, you're going to learn something, you're going to gain something. If they're sponsoring the trip, you got to pay a little money. If you got to pay no, please go, because you'll learn something. But back to the script. I was a computer technology major, and I was a recipient of the preparation that the business program gave you all, and they did a lot of prep with us when we went on those corporate tours as well. I can't recall who, where, when beforehand, but I felt confident and prepared.
It's probably
Uh,
spearheaded by Dr. Mary White. But yeah, they did a great job. I mean, because
yes.
for business majors, right? We had a class every year for the whole 4 years.
Uh
We had
huh.
a class called professional development, right?
Okay.
And the first year I think was taught by Miss Jacqueline Triplett, who I ended up finding out was my mom's first cousin. Didn't know it
What?
after I was out of her class. Um,
Wow.
and then the other ones I had was taught by Dr. Sheila Porterfield,
Okay.
and they did a fantastic job. Like we had to wear suits to class,
Yeah, yeah, I believe it.
so and you had to conduct yourself, act in a professional manner,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
did a fantastic job with us because you can have all the knowledge in your head that you want, but if you work in that interview and walk in the interview, and you don't look the part, they gonna
Hmm.
cancel you out point blank. And so they knew those things that we would get canceled out by, and so
Right.
they made sure that we was ready and prepared for those things.
Fantastic. This is a great segue question. You just lobbed it up for me. All right. Who poured into you the most? Whether it be a mentor, professor, dean, coach, friend, and what did they do that changed you?
At Jackson State,
At Jackson State, I'll expound a little bit. It could be prior to Jackson State. It could be both. I'll defer to you. You can go in whatever direction you want to go.
let me narrow because then I will be all over the place.
Okay,
But
okay, okay.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. I keep it to Jackson State. So we're talking about HBCUs. I keep it to Jackson State. And so, interesting enough, like my first probably 2 years, 2.5 years, I did work study, and
Okay.
I was lucky. I was lucky, right? This is a blessing from God. My
Yes.
work study assignment was the dean's office for our college of business, right?
Awesome.
The school of business then, and so and that's about the best place you can
Yeah,
get is
yeah, yeah,
right. And I call them the ladies of the dean's office. So it's not
yeah.
right. It was Miss Easley, is Dr. Posey, Miss Walker, Miss Soignier, and of course Dr. Glover was the dean at that time. So
Okay.
the dean's office was all women, right? And they took care of for the work study students. They took care of us. They made sure that we did what we were supposed to do. That's where I got my polish, right? So I told you
Okay.
I'm a dusty country boy, right? And coming to the big city, Marks is probably at the time was probably 2,500 people coming to the big city, and they definitely polished me up, right? And I think they
Gotcha.
did a fantastic job of doing it. And deeply indebted to them. If I'm in Jackson, I make sure I try to go find one of them when I'm there. Oh, I forgot Miss Knight. Dang, I forgot Miss Knight. I knew I was missing somebody. But yeah, those ladies in that office, I think, helped me set my trajectory at Jackson State. And that level of professionalism and stuff like that, still using that to this day.
Fantastic. Another great segue. What did your HBCU experience teach you that you still use today?
Probably professionalism and how to fight, right? How to fight for what you want, right? Like I said, I had a little bit ingrained in me genetically, but they taught us how to do it in a way that's gonna get you results, right? Because I was part of student government too, right? And
Yes.
the funny thing is, I think it was my freshman year, maybe. I can't remember, freshman or sophomore year. It was the AC had went out in the business building in the fall.
Okay.
Right? Nobody really cared because it's already had started cooling down, no big deal, right? So whatever happened, the spring it got hot quick. Okay. And so they hadn't gotten around to fixing the AC, right? And I think they was dragging their feet. So the upperclassmen, business majors, basically organized a walkout.
Wow.
Right? And it was peaceful, it was organized. The media showed up. Everybody was instructed not to talk to the media, right? Because they just here being messy. So we didn't talk to them. The dean was in full support of it. The president was pissed. But they got the AC fixed. Right. So they taught you how to fight, how to go for what you want, and do it in the right way. My friends to this day, even ones from Jackson State, would tell me all the time, "You don't know how to take no for the answer. No for an answer." And I said, "I don't take no when I think no is the wrong answer."
Right. When
I don't, and they taught us from student government, just like working in dean's office,
right?
Like watching these guys on these protests, like all that stuff kind of inform you of like, hey, life ain't gonna be necessarily fair, right? But you ain't gotta accept it, like. And so I take that with me now. It's like, hey, I've watched those guys do it. And it's one thing to watch somebody do it. It's like, okay,
right.
And they're an example, right? They're showing you how to do it. Okay, I can do this. And so we did some of the same things, right? We led a protest on a professor in the business school. We almost led a protest on another person in the business school for some crazy stuff. I won't call their names.
Yeah.
But we did a couple things when we saw things that weren't right for us.
Right.
We spoke out and we took a leadership position to get it corrected, and we did it in the right way. We didn't break stuff. We didn't do all kinds of foolishness. We went the right way of doing it, and we got the results that we needed and we wanted. And
Fantastic.
I think I do that to this day.
Fantastic. All right, so we're gonna roll it back a little bit because I'm not gonna let you gloss over the fact that you were in Student Government Association, SGA. So let's roll that back. Let's talk through that a little bit. So talk to me about how you became, how you decided to go down that path, and talk us through that. What led you to go through that process? Talk a little bit about what the process was and what your officer position was.
Yeah. I still actually have business cards from that time, but but when I got to Jackson State, so I'm from Marks, and Marks is in Quitman County, right?
Yes.
The North Delta, as we call it. And believe it or not, there was a lot of folks from Marks who went to Jackson State, right?
Yeah.
Because of Dr. Blackie. Right. And so when I got there, one of the guys who was upperclassman who was there from Marks is Marcus Watson. Marcus Watson was business manager for student government.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to do that, right? Because I told you, I was like, I'm an accounting major, like I got this financial bent, and so I want to do that. And so if you want to do anything in student government, you got to run for office. And I think I might have ran. I was my class business manager, my freshman class business manager when I first got there. So I had to run for office for that. And then eventually I got to the point where I ran for office for student government. I think I served as business manager for student government for 2 years, I believe, my junior and senior year.
Okay.
But you learn a lot.
Right.
You learn a lot. From, like I said, I'm a political junkie. I get that from being in student government because it's all about politics, right? It's structured the same exact way.
Right.
And so, but you learn a tremendous amount of trying to negotiate and navigate different issues, advocating for students, trying to resolve conflicts from within, within student government, refereeing. I was refereeing conflicts, right? Like I said, there's always some drama going on, but it was good. There's always some things going on and some things that need to be addressed. And so it just helped hone your leadership skills.
Okay.
So I definitely enjoyed that.
Awesome. Okay. What was a proud moment from your HBCU journey that still gives you chills?
The moment that it should have been a proud moment that I did not, if I could, because I wish I could probably relished it more, but it was like a blur, was actually my graduation day.
Okay.
And so, because on my graduation day, I told you, my grandmother at this point had passed away on my mom's side, but her sisters, my great aunts, were still living. Like I told you, those the ladies who kind of like they hustled, they made things happen, they set a good example for us and kept us and held us accountable.
Yes,
They
sir.
were at graduation, right? And so my mom was there, and that was probably the first and maybe only graduation that they probably witnessed, right? I know it's probably
Oh,
right? College graduation.
right.
So for me to walk across that stage, to be from this little small podunk town, ladies that sharecrop most of their lives and work for folks in their houses, got to see their great nephew basically walk across the stage and get a degree, right? That I think about it now, that does, makes me emotional and send chills down my spine to even just think about that
Right,
because
right.
they didn't get that opportunity. Like we didn't
Man,
come, the kind of the blue bloods of the black families and things like that. Like I told you, we grew up poor. My
right.
my, my background, my famous background, is sharecropping on both on my dad's side and my mom's side.
Wow.
Farmers.
Wow. Okay, if you could relive one day from that college chapter, what day would it be?
And besides my graduation day, probably, and this is funny, and this is gonna be weird. I read Nelson Mandela's autobiography.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's a biography. Maybe it's I think it's autobiography. I can't remember if it was, what was it called? Was it Long Walk to Freedom?
It
I
may
mean,
be. I feel like it may have been an autobiography, but I'll check, and if I
yeah.
find it, I may add the link below, information below.
I'm looking over here, but in that book, he grew up. I'm gonna say on the Serengeti, which I'm wrong, but he grew up basically in a hut, right?
Right, right.
With his mom, what have you, and his before his daddy died, his daddy had arranged for him to go live with this chief, this
Okay.
tribal chief, and so his daddy passes away, and his mom takes him on this journey to basically go drop him off this tribal chief, right? He's been with his
Right.
mom his whole life. I don't know, I can't remember how old he was then, maybe 10 or something. And so they getting close to it, and it's basically like they're on this hill and they can see the house down and all these little houses
Right.
around it. He lived in a hut.
Right.
Now he's looking at houses, right? He had never
Right.
seen it before. And he was so excited about it. And he talks about this in the book. He lost out on that moment with his mother that their lives are forever changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's going to this new life and he's excited about it, as he should be.
Right.
But at the same token, his mom is bittersweet. She know this is gonna be better for her son, but like this is it for us, right?
Right.
For the most part. And he talked about how he wished he had appreciated that moment, could get that moment back. That's the same thing with me. I think every time parents drop their kids off at college,
Mm-hmm.
there's a thing with kids, and I've seen parents in our mentor program do it, but it's this moment where for the kid it's excitement and nervousness to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent, this girl, but probably more excitement. And for the
Right.
parent, it's excitement because your kid's about to go after these great things, but it's sadness because it's forever going to be different, right? Because
Right.
now, if that's not the line of adulthood, I don't know what is, right?
Right. Right.
I wish I could get that moment back because I didn't appreciate it. Don't remember a whole bunch about it other than you run around trying to get your dorm set up.
Right.
I
Right.
that moment to appreciate it more.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now I want to talk about post grad and a little bit of your journey, a professional journey after JSU. You can name names as far as corporations if you like. If you don't want to, you could just gloss over it. They can remain anonymous if they did you some certain type of way. And then I definitely want to talk a little bit more, actually a lot bit more about your outreach or your community work that you're doing, your philanthropic work. So you have the floor. If you talk a little bit about your professional career.
Yeah, so I started my professional career. Like I said, I started Arthur Anderson, which is one of the big five accounting firms at the time,
Mm.
and was there probably a month. And this big scandal blew up with Enron.
Yes.
And so because I was an auditor, I went to
Okay.
work as an auditor, and our firm audited Enron down in the Houston office, and I was up in Dallas. And so this big scandal blew up where basically there's some fraud, audits weren't done correctly, what have you. Um, and so, wasn't even a year later, probably 9 months later, Arthur Anderson was no more. Right?
Wow.
Out
Wow.
of right. The firm is gone. Enron is basically toast at that point. And so I'm like, man, I'm an auditor. I got to go find another job or something. So I ended up going to another one of the big accounting firms, KPMG, and I
Okay.
spent quite a bit of time there. Made all the way up to the senior manager level, which is a challenge for those of color at that time, and probably still today. So and learned a lot right there because I audited small companies, big companies, and not to get into too much jargon, but these public traded companies that you buy stocks in,
Right.
audit those. Learned a tremendous amount there, right? Wouldn't trade it for the world, right?
Right.
But like I said, you go through the grinder.
Yes, sir.
Those stories about, we call it public accounting, those stories you hear about for those in business, of those who worked in public accounting, like working a whole bunch of hours, weekends, late nights, all nighters. Yeah, I did all of it.
Okay. Pause right there. I want to add these two things because I think it's important. So when you were in school, w- how did you go about choosing accounting? What led you to majoring in business or accounting, if you will?
So it's funny. So so I had this weird way of doing it, and so it depended on what I was going to major in, depending on which school I went to, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I went to Jackson State, it was going to be accounting, right? And it was basically these three things I was juggling with that I wanted to do, but wasn't for sure. And actually, I'm a science guy, so I would have naturally thought I would have done something in the STEM space because I was juggling between pharmacy, accounting, and civil
Wow.
engineering. Weird,
Wow.
right? But
Wow.
of course, Jack State didn't have the other two, and then
Right.
each one had a school tied to it, right? Ole Miss would have been
Yeah.
pharmacy, Mississippi State would have been civil engineering because they were good at each of those. Um, so I ended up, of course, I decided to go to Jackson State. So I said, okay, accounting is it. But even when I got there in orientation, it's like, do I really want to do accounting, right? And I was like, well, that's what you said you're gonna do, so you're gonna have to stick with it. And that's what I flow with, and never ever regretted it for not even 1 second. I think
Fantastic.
it was a place for me, and it
Fantastic.
made it for me.
I'm going to add one quick footnote right here. At the time, ladies and gentlemen, Jackson State didn't have an engineering program, and now they do have a college of engineering program. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that little piece there. But
And that would have
continue.
been if they had it at the time. It might not have been accounting, but I was glad I did it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, follow up question. You mentioned auditing. Of course, you and I know what auditing is, but in the best layman terms as you possibly can you kind of share what auditing is from your perspective?
Yeah. So basically, what we did is we would go into companies and make sure that they basically not lying about how much money they make or how much money that they have. Right. That was our job. Right. The companies will hire us to do it, but we're basically doing it on behalf of the public in the instance of these, like say, publicly traded companies. Or in the instance of some of these private companies, you're doing on behalf of the banks, right? Because the banks are lending money to these companies. And if they say, oh, we got all this money, making all this money, right? How you know that they're right, right? And that was the whole Enron thing. Enron was lying about a whole bunch of things. And so that's the whole point of auditors, is go in and make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. The numbers are what they say that they are. Because there are people out there that's doing shady stuff. Like during that time when I started working, there was several big companies that went out. Like, you remember Jackson? You remember WorldCom?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
WorldCom
As a matter of fact, I think while we were there, or shortly after we left, they kind of the bubble popped. Yeah,
they were a client of Arthur Anderson, right?
wow,
And they were doing shady stuff.
wow,
There's a number of companies who went out, and there's been some over the years that have gone out because they've been doing. And so that's the purpose of auditors is to keep companies honest and keep people shady, right?
yep, yep,
And
yep,
and they have to be held accountable, and there have to be measures in place to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do. Auditors come in to make sure that that's happening, and if they're not happening, then we kind of say, hey, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. The numbers are not what they say that they are. And that keeps people honest when they know an auditor is coming in. But during that time, a lot of things have changed because in the accounting world because of that. And
yeah,
one of the things that that you was reading my bio is the PCOB, which is
yeah,
board that came about because of all that.
wow, wow,
That's the auditor for the auditors.
wow,
Because the
wow,
auditors need an auditor because they was getting too cozy with the clients, right? Because the clients was paying like Arthur Anderson made tens of millions of dollars off of the Enron audit, so they're not going to piss them off, right?
right, right, right,
So it
right,
becomes this issue of like, are you really auditing them the way you're supposed to do? But
yeah,
so it was like I said, I learned that was my foundation for learning for my career was between those two auditing firms. That set the stage for me for the rest of my career because I learned so much there.
okay,
And you hear a lot now about kids need to learn how to use their analytical skills, learn how to think. Like you learned that there. I learned that
okay,
there. Right?
okay,
You had to figure stuff out, um, and that just set the stage because if you can do that, you can in the accounting world you can pretty much do anything.
fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. We're coming to a close here, getting pretty close. But I want to take this rest of the time for you to talk about what you're into now from a community outreach perspective. What led you to where you are with that program, kind of how it got started for you, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah. So I think early on, one of the things I told you I learned from my family was like their work ethic. And also the
Mm-hmm.
other thing was, is to help people, right? To
Right.
care for people and help folks out. And that was just my mom's side of the family. My dad's side of the family too. That was just things that they did, right?
Right.
So that carried with me throughout, right? Even up to now, what I'm doing on the community side. I think you mentioned before, I'm our president of Mentoring Brother to Brother, which is a mentoring program for boys in the Dallas-Fort area. And I've always worked with kids in some capacity, even when I was a kid, right? When I was
Right.
in
Right.
I was tutoring. In high school, I was tutoring. When I was at Jackson State, I was doing junior achievement, right? Came to start working doing junior achievement. And eventually, I found this organization. At the time, I joined Concord Church, and they had a nonprofit fair, and Mentor and Brother was there, and I was looking for something similar to start working with, and I said, oh, this is fantastic, and so that was back in 2007.
Wow.
um, and so I joined up with them for 9 years. I was a mentor, and then I took a break. And then the guy who found one of the founders who was also running it decided he wanted to retire.
Okay.
And so I came back to run it at that point. And so that's been, I guess this is 8 years. I'm 8 years in now of doing it. And so it's strictly volunteer run. But it's also, yeah, it's funny. I had a guy that worked for years ago when I was at KPMG at the audit firm, and he said nothing about this job is going to fulfill you.
Right.
He said that's why we do all these other things that participating in the community and volunteering and things like that. And it's so true because there's like because you always be left with doing more. Well, this is where I can do more, right?
Right.
So I've been mentoring these boys for like combined probably 16, 17 years. And you get to see them grow up and develop like that. And so and it's like and it's volunteer, right? We don't get paid.
Right.
It's a good feeling that you're helping and a good feeling that they're receiving it and they're able to take advantage of it.
Fantastic. All right, two follow-up questions, and we'll bring this to a close. Is there a specific area of mentorship that you provide these young people, these young boys? Is there a subject matter you all talk about? Kind of what is the focus area for?
So it's broad, right? So we don't have a particular focus area. We're providing them life skills,
Mm-hmm.
Just everything you think around what they will need to be successful in life. So if that's college prep, they get college prep. If that's grooming, right? Hygiene, etiquette, we do that, right? Just whatever we think they need, and that could change from year to year based on the kids that we have in the program.
Gotcha.
But we just are trying to provide those things that we think they need that will make them successful, where it's now, where it's later in life. And so that's why it's more broad on that sense.
Okay.
But
Okay.
everything still comes back to what are the things that we think they will need to be successful, right? Like right now, we have some of the kids in the program where we're providing therapy, right? So we have a licensed therapist come out and meet once a month, right? Because that's what some of them need, right? So we try to figure out what is it they need, what is it that they need, and then we try to fill that gap for them, to be that additional support for their families.
Fantastic. Oh, that's beautiful. Within this program that you've been heading for the past years, it sounds like 8-9 years. Is that
8 years as president?
Okay. Yes, and you've been in it you started in 2007, took a little break, and then got it. What, if you can name one or two, what has been fulfilling or crowning achievement in the form of maybe a kid coming back, or you see a young person maturing into adult? What has been one of those things that you felt great fulfillment in? Can you, if you could share one or two of those moments?
Man, that's a good one. One of them is I'm gonna name a kid Ivan, right? And he graduated. It's been a while ago, right? And he ended up, finished our program, went to University of Houston, and got a degree there in hospitality and hotel management.
Wow.
He came back up to Dallas. I think he was working for Marriott Hilton. I can't remember. Ended up getting a job with Four Seasons.
Whoa.
And now he's in Baltimore.
Okay.
Season. I think I got the right Four Seasons. And so he just recently got a promotion, right? And he's one that he took the advice, pretty much took all the advice and just saw him grow and grow and grow, and he stuck with it, right? Because some things didn't go fast enough for him or whatever, right? Some setbacks at some moments, but he actually continued and stuck with it and just kept going. And like I said, I'm so proud of that kid. It's like I said, he's doing it big now. But
awesome.
But that's a testament of just like they don't need a whole bunch. They just need a little boost, a little help, a little here and there, right? To keep them on the right path, or to warn them about some things that may be coming up. Because the one thing I did mention is like all these kids come from single parent households, so dad is either not around or barely around, right?
Wow.
So they're missing some guidance, right? They're getting it from mom, but they miss not. And their dad advice is important, and that's the piece that they're missing. And so, and that's what we try to fill in that gap with them, to keep them on the right track, so they can get to that point in life where they feel like they're fulfilling, that they're contributing. That's the whole point, right? To get them to a life that they can, a more fulfilling life for them. That's
wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Where can they find you if a young person, a young boy, or a parent of one of these children interested in your program? Where can they find your program? If you could just give a quick pitch or some information about your program, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. So the name of the program again is Mentoring Brother to Brother. They can find us on the web at mb2b.org. So you go there. There's a tab to get involved, and you can go straight there and link up with us. We enroll once a year. So we enroll in June is when we submit applications. So if you go to our website, a pop-up is going to happen. Just sign up to get our newsletter. And then once that time comes around, hey, you hit it. If you're interested in donating, we take donations too. We actually have a big event coming up in April. It's a gala style event that we're celebrating our organization and trying to raise funds, like I said, to pay for therapy and all these other things that we're doing. And so, like I said, because we're volunteer run, like nobody gets paid, right? So we survive off for donations and to help these boys get to where they want to be. But same for guys who want to mentor, same thing. Go to mbdb.org and shoot us something from there, and we'll reach out to you to get you signed up to be a mentor. We need clearly in order to service the kids that's out there, we need dollars and we need men. We get that, we service more kids. We don't get it, we can't service as many. So, but it's a noble cause, and it's something that we've been doing for 28 years. And so,
wow, it's amazing.
We'll do it for another 28 plus.
Wow, amazing. Will, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story and sharing your current initiative that you have going on with your volunteer program. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me. And the goal for this is to impact the people. And I feel that you sharing your story is going to be a great impact. You have an awesome story, and thank you for sharing it with us. With that being said, we appreciate you, and this is coming to a close. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Appreciate you, man.